China now builds and exports more cars than any other country on earth, but in America, they're almost impossible to find. Banned by tariffs over 100% and blocked entirely over software security concerns. Yet starting this year, you might start seeing them anyway. Not sold here, just driven here, legally. In January 2026, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney struck a landmark trade deal with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Canada had been matching America's hardline stance on Chinese EVs, charging a 100% tariff, effectively shutting them out entirely. This deal changed that overnight. Canada agreed to slash that tariff down to just 6.1% for the first 49,000 Chinese-built vehicles entering the country each year, a number set to climb towards 70,000 by 2031. In exchange, China agreed to cut its own tariffs on Canadian canola oil from 84% down to around 15%, and committed to investing in Canadian EV manufacturing within 3 years. By May 2026, the first shipment had already arrived, over 2,900 Chinese EVs landing in Canada, with BYD already registered as an official importer. Here's the part that makes this bigger than a Canadian story. Cars registered in Canada can legally cross into the United States, and Canadians can drive them here for visits up to an entire year. Canadian plated vehicles are an extremely common sight in northern border states, especially in places like the Detroit metro area, where the Ambassador Bridge sees constant cross-border traffic. So once Chinese-built cars start showing up in real numbers on Canadian roads, they're going to start showing up on American roads too, just not for sale. A Canadian tourist driving a BYD across the border isn't breaking any law. Americans still can't walk into a dealership and buy one, but they might start seeing one parked outside a hotel or driving next to them on the highway. The Trump administration has made its position clear. In March 2026, U.S. Ambassador to Canada Pete Huckstra stated plainly that Chinese-made electric vehicles could enter Canada, but they would not be allowed to cross into the American market, closing off any pathway for these cars to actually be sold in the US. And the numbers back up why that door stays firmly shut. Combined US duties on Chinese-built EVs, stacking a 100% Section 301 tariff, additional emergency surcharges, and a standard base duty push the total cost past the entire value of the vehicle itself. Chinese-built cars also don't qualify for the tariff-free treatment under the USMCA trade agreement between the US, Canada, and Mexico. So there's no legal loophole for a company to build in China and quietly import through Canada tariff-free. All three USMCA countries are required to formally review the agreement by mid-2026. Partly because this exact divergence, Canada opening its doors while America keeps it firmly shut, is straining the trade pact itself. Ford's own CEO, Jim Farley, has publicly called Chinese EVs an existential threat to American automakers. It's easy to see why. Some of these Chinese-built EVs are expected to sell in Canada for under 35,000 Canadian dollars, well below 25,000 US dollars, at a time when the average new car in America costs nearly $51,000. If Chinese automakers gain a foothold in Canada now, build local manufacturing there within a few years as promised, and North American trade rules ever shift, even slightly, US automakers could suddenly find themselves competing directly against dramatically cheaper vehicles they currently don't have to worry about at all. Interestingly, one American company might benefit from this shift before anyone else. Tesla already builds vehicles in Shanghai that comply with Chinese data and software regulations, giving it an unusual head start if cross-border dynamics ever shift in ways that open new pathways for compliant vehicles. For now though, this remains mostly a Canadian story with American spillover, real cars on real roads, just not available for American buyers to actually own. So if you're driving through Michigan, Vermont, or Washington State sometime this year and see a car badge you don't recognize, don't be surprised, it's probably a Canadian visitor, driving something Americans still legally can't buy. Whether that stays true much longer is a different question entirely. If you want me to cover which Chinese brand is most likely to actually reach American dealerships first, let me know in the comments and subscribe for more videos breaking down stories like this one.